Our next speaker is Dr. Arturo Aldama from the Ethnic Studies Department here at the University of Colorado.
So in the interest of saving some trees, I printed out just a few handouts, so hopefully folks can just kind of share, which I'll kind of give a reference to. I think everyone should have some handouts. So I want to thank in particular Mike for his vision and bravery to kind of pull this thing together, especially on the very last day of the semester. I'd like to apologize to my colleagues for not being here when the event started, but I had office hours with students coming in, flipping out about their final projects and kind of multitasking. So I was kind of putting together this PowerPoint actually in between seeing students and stuff, so it's not as elegant and thoughtful as they do like these, but hopefully it'll catch people's attention. I don't know why, maybe it's my recovering Catholic upbringing, but whenever things get really strange and outrageous, I find a certain kind of comfort in a lot of paintings about Dante's Inferno, or of Dante's Inferno, or by Hieronymus Bosch. Looking back to some of the visions that were presented. So I wanted to start with some of the Renaissance and medieval representations of kind of hell, purgatory, human struggle. This image on the left, if folks aren't aware of it, it's a very famous image. It's called Gluttony and Lust, I think, if I remember correctly. It's a little section of a tableau. So this is from Dante's Inferno. The title that I gave to Mike for the talk is Porn. I figured if it's sex and violence, someone probably show up just to listen to that. So that's always kind of a catch word, I guess. Pepper spray, batons, double standards, question marks. Who polices the police? So I want to start, it's a film that I teach usually during the summer in my screening race, class, and gender. It's, I teach film and visual and cultural studies. And it's an award-winning film called La Haine or Hate. And it's a French film done by a very prominent French-Jewish intellectual, young auteur, director, Matthew Kassovitz. And it's a film that was actually done in '95, but it was basically following a 24-hour aftermath of some race riots in the banlieues. Banlieues are kind of suburbs, so unlike where we have the quote-unquote ghettos here in the United States and the inner cities, in France, immigrant communities, working-class communities, as well as kind of ex-colonies of France, Algeria, North Africa, and so on, live in these banlieues, which are kind of public housing, but they're on the outskirts of historical city centers. I start with that because there's a very famous scene in the film where this gentleman here, who has the everlast shirt, Boulder, is being driven by a police officer, and he kind of asks the police officer, "Who protects us from you?" And this is again following the aftermath of these race riots. So I wanted just to start with that, and so thinking about some of the things that I've been kind of witnessing and involved with in different capacities as this Occupy movement has begun, and some of the outrages, I guess, that have led to this Occupy movement, some of the large questions really is who polices the police. So I gave you all a handout, and the handout is the actual official webpage of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, and I just went ahead and clicked on what we do. So I'll just read a little bit from the first paragraph, and then I'll juxtapose with an article that I just was completely outraged by, and yet I feel, I don't know how many people are outraged. I don't know if people just get so cynical or apathetic. There's nothing really outrageous, folks, in which case that's, I guess, an outrage in and of itself. But so basically, according to the SEC, the mission of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is to protect investors, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitate capital formation. As more and more first-time investors turn to the markets to help secure their futures, pay for homes, and send their children to college, our investor protection mission is more compelling than ever. I actually became friends with my insurance agent, who had to go through a very rigorous licensing procedure to actually do some trading on behalf of some of his clients. And he just, since we're friends, I kind of asked him about it, and he showed me some manuals, and it's, I'm not an economist, I'm kind of a literary cultural studies theorist, but a little bit of looking at it, it just seemed to be extremely rule-driven, phenomenal amounts of protocols and procedures and protections, and to be honest, it reminded me of some of the kind of IRS type of tax books, very specific kinds of languages and practices and so on and so forth. And he said that he had to study harder for that than pretty much anything he's had to do. And he has actually a master's and so on. And so I was kind of interested in thinking, wow, there's a lot of rules and regulations that are supposedly out there to protect us. But yeah, if you see, and so if you turn on page 2, so the SEC is kind of the arbitrator of rules with apparent consequences, and literally the state-sanctioned, federal-sanctioned watchdog of the financial and banking industry. And yet, if we turn to this article here, April 23rd, 2010, I'll let you all get to it. And again, I was just outraged that the level of outrage about this was tepid, I guess. I don't know why. But basically, the title of the article was SEC Farm Problem, Official Surfing Sites During Financial Crisis, Report Finds, April 20. See, I'll just read a couple of the quotes here. The Securities and Exchange Commission is the sheriff of the financial industry, looking for crimes such as Madoff's Ponzi scheme. But a new government report obtained by ABC News has concluded that some senior employees spend hours on the agency's computers. And most of the SEC computers, from what I gathered, are kind of like some of the federal agencies. They have kind of supercomputers, super servers, things are linked. A lot of very cutting-edge technology is used to supposedly monitor the markets. And so imagine the download speeds and so on are pretty optimal. Some senior employees spent hours on the agency's computers looking at sites such as Naughty.com, Skankwire, and YouPorn as the financial crisis was unfolding. Quote, these guys in the middle of the financial crisis are spending their time looking at period material on the internet, said